Hey guys, it's Merrick, and I'm here with the Blockade 3ve guide/crash course. While Moloch is a much more aggressive hero, Blockade is pretty straightforward and kind of represents what would almost be expected from like a paladin in Warcraft 3. Like I said in the 3ve crash course, you can just do a fast expansion in pretty much every difficulty, including brutal. If you're comfortable with microing, you can just take your hero and face the first unit you get, and just go clear out the expansion before you go make a base over there. If you are not comfortable fast expanding or not familiar enough with RTSs to really know how to do that, you are going to be just fine building bobs consistently until you hit saturation, which, like I said before, is 12 on the Luminite and 5 on Therium. And while you are doing that, you want to make a habitat as soon as you can afford it, and a barracks as soon as you can afford it. And then start making guardsmen from there. Again, similarly to what I mentioned in the 3ve crash course, you want to make sure to get at least a few workers getting the Therium early, because it is how you unlock your advanced units. And specifically for this, you definitely want to make sure that you are making more than one barracks, because the guardsmen are very cheap and you can make a whole lot of them even if you were just on the one base. What I'm doing in this game though is a fast expansion where I went and cleared out the mobs on the expansion, and then utilize one of the best features of the Vanguard faction, which the hero Blockade benefits from, which is that you can build a single building with multiple workers. I'm going to go over the global abilities later, but the first global ability on the far front left is actually called Bob Overcharge. What that does is it increases the armor, damage, and construction speed of your workers by 100% if they're in the vicinity of a command center. So what you do to make this work out the best you can is you wait until you almost have enough money for the expansion, you start to walk the workers over to where you're going to build the expansion, and then you pop the Bob Overcharge so that they still have that 100% bonus while they go to make the expansion. Combine that with multiple Bobs building at once, and you can get an expansion up incredibly quickly. You can only build guardsmen from the barracks until you get either a biokinetics lab, or you upgrade your command post to level 2. The guardsmen that you get at the beginning from the barracks are very numerous and incredibly cheap, but they are quite weak. They are amazing at sitting in sentry posts, however, and Blockade also has a lot of abilities to make that quite easy. But you'll want to be getting Therium so that you can actually make other units that have much more of a punch and can last longer in a fight. But don't get me wrong, you're going to want to build a handful of barracks, and you're going to have quite a few guardsmen scattered throughout your army, no matter what other units you make with it. Once you have a few barracks, you're going to want a biokinetics lab to upgrade your infantry and unlock some of the other infantry units. You're also going to want to get a mech bay, and that also has units that are locked behind the command post level 2, similarly to what I talked about in the other videos. Vulcans are an incredibly potent and very fun to use unit, and they come out of the mech bay but require a T2 command post, so I would recommend trying that out. In the 3ve crash course, I mentioned that there is absolutely no shame and nothing to feel bad about building static defense to help supplement yourself against any of these incoming pushes that'll happen during the game. The best part about Blockade is that the guardsmen can go into the sentry post, and they do the same thing that the more expensive Exo would do in the 1v1 ladder. Meaning they turn the sentry post from doing a single shot at 10 damage to doing an AoE gun with 19 damage per shot. Considering how the guardsman comes out of the basic barracks and is only 50 Luminite, this is incredibly efficient for when you're playing Blockade. You can also use some aggressively placed defensive structures, like forwardly placed sentry posts with guardsmen in them, to help you deal with both creep camps, convoys, and any waves that could be coming from any of the enemy bases. And, to be fair, if you wanted, you could even build them to go attack the enemy bases. But when dealing with the convoys, it is important to remember that if you get run over by the convoy, it will just completely blow up your building, and you don't really get anything back for it. But moving on from a general opener and build suggestion stuff to talking about Blockade's abilities, Blockade's first ability is a point-and-click heal that cannot target him and can only target allied units. His X ability is a stun, which throws him into the fray, and any units that he lands on will be stunned for a few moments and take some damage. His C ability, which can be used immediately following up his X ability, is a spin to win, essentially. He stops auto-attacking, begins to spin, and does 120 damage over the duration in a somewhat large AoE. It's really good for hitting a bunch of units at once, and can be also used to clear out creep camps that have a bunch of small mobs. You are also not prevented from casting your heal while spinning. His last ability doesn't unlock until level 5, but what it does is it essentially teleports him and any allied units from only your army to the target allied building, which is essentially a scroll of town portal from Warcraft 3. It only affects army units. If you happen to teleport when you're next to your bobs, they won't go anywhere. Looking at the global abilities, I already briefly mentioned the first global ability being the Bob Overcharge. It is a 25 energy ability that allows you to target a command center, and any bobs nearby that command center will be overcharged. Overcharged bobs have 100% additional damage, they have 200 additional armor, and construct buildings 100% faster. This can be used in an emergency when enemies make it into your mineral line to turn your bobs into very durable fighters. It can be used in an emergency to suddenly construct a few sentry posts or other buildings that might need to be defensively constructed. And with some ingenuity, like I explained in the fast expand explanation in the beginning of this, it can be used to help make your expand faster. It could also be used if you were super behind on economy and just had a lot of money floating to suddenly put down a lot of barracks. At the time of recording, again a reminder that this is a beta, the ability can be cast on a command post that is not finished. So if you wanted to be very cheeky and had a lot of bobs that you wanted to bring along with you for the final fight of the game, you could construct a command post up by the enemy base, bring your bobs up there, overcharge, and then send them in first to tank for the rest of your army. It's very versatile. The sky's really the limit. The second global ability is not all that useful in 3VE mode, but it sends out a flying doggo with a satellite disc to essentially scan an area and allow you to see what's there. Think of like the command center scan from StarCraft 2, but there's a unit present that can be shot down by things that can target air. I have heard that the dog with a satellite dish is not the final model because this is still a beta, but to be honest, I think they could keep that. The third ability is a emergency sentry post. It spawns a sentry post similar to the ones that you can construct, but it shows up anywhere that you can target, it shows up instantly, and it only lasts for a certain period of time. But it is perfect for supplementing a push or reacting to an attack and then throwing a guardsman into it to make it incredibly strong. You can just place it and it will do damage and shoot without a guardsman in it, but as I mentioned earlier, it does about 10 damage a shot without a guardsman in them, and it does 19 damage in an AoE with guardsmen inside of that sentry post. So you can use it anywhere, but I would recommend making sure that you have something to put inside of it. The fourth ability allows you to select a friendly building and give it a 1,000 health shield. This could be one of your emergency sentry posts, it could be one of your real sentry posts, it could be an ally's defensive structure or an ally's base if they are under attack. It's very nice for giving your defensive structures that little extra bit of durability and longevity during the fights. The fifth global ability doesn't unlock until Blockade hits level 6, but what it does is allows you to call down 2 upgraded medics to help out with the fight. There's a unit called the Medtech, which will heal your units and is generally pretty nice to have around, but if you've ever played a game like StarCraft 2, where they have mercenary units that are bigger upgraded units, the Medtech has an upgrade called the Combat Medic, and this calls down 2 combat medics that will temporarily support your army. You do have control over them, but they will automatically cast heals and support your army even if you just move them behind your army. I want to take a moment to highlight real quick before I move on. What I just did there was I went to the Scrapyard, which is a building that is generally used to collect Therium without having to have a command post nearby, and when you're playing the 3VE mode as Blockade, some of the upgrades you get from leveling up can be researched there to be activated during the game. One of which is like when he heals an ally, it heals in a small AoE for 50 health. Another one is when he heals somebody, he gets some attack speed, and things like that. Normally, you would never look at the Scrapyard for upgrades, and in the way the map is laid out, you don't even really need the Scrapyard to collect Therium, so it's very easy to overlook that. The final ability doesn't unlock until Blockade level 10, but it is an incredibly potent and powerful one. It's called the Last Stand, and any unit in the area that is affected by this when you launch it gets a 25% damage bonus, and if they would die, they instead become invulnerable for 20 seconds first. This is an incredible ability that has a whole lot of use on the higher difficulty levels and is an incredibly potent ability. You earn XP by completing matches, and I'm going to be looking now at the abilities Blockade gets by leveling. His level 2 unlock is a research that allows guardsmen to set up, root themselves, and gain attack speed and range. His level 3 unlock makes it so that when he heals any other target, he gets half the health that he would have healed, even if that target's full health. His level 4 unlock upgrades his Lancer into a Crusader at the barracks. The Crusader is a stronger version of the Lancer, but it does cost Therium. His level 5 unlock is actually an ability on his character that allows you to teleport to a friendly structure. There are some cool things you can do with this, like spawning an emergency sentry post and then teleporting it to just zoom yourself around the map, like so.
Medic reporting. Where am I needed?
Another quick example of this use that I haven't seen anybody use it for is killing this here convoy and then jumping into the enemy base that I'm trying to destroy.
Allies are under attack.
Who's hurt?
Allies are under attack.
Stay the course.
Medtech on site.
I got you.
Assistance has arrived.
But as cool as that is, I do have to get back to the abilities. His level 7 ability is a team-wide passive called Guardian Barrier. Basically, it makes the units a little more durable, and it refreshes every 60 seconds after the unit has been created. His level 8 ability is where you get some of those upgrades at the scrapyard. It also has upgrades that will be available at the machine lab, and an additional upgrade for medics at the biokinetics lab, which comes after their already existing upgrades. Level 9, he gets Hammer of the Gods, which increases the damage of his spin to win ability, and allows his X stun to provide shields to allies in the affected area. His level 10 ability, which I did not get unlocked in time for this video, is the Call Down Last Stand, and like I briefly mentioned earlier, it allows you to have a 25% damage bonus to units in the area, followed by, if the unit would die, it gets a 20-second invulnerability. That's about all I have time for right now, but I do want to mention, just like I did in the Crash Course and in the Moloch Guide, that while these heroes lend themselves towards specific units to be built, one of the best parts about RTS is that you can approach the game in ways that not many other people do or think of and still have fun and find success. One of the best things about it is being able to experiment and enjoy yourself while learning and figuring things out. I'd like to remind everybody that this is still a beta and this is just a crash course for the Steam NextFest, but hopefully you are still able to get something out of that. If you're finding these videos farther into the future when the game is released, it's very, very likely that things have changed between then and now, but hopefully this is still useful. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what you do like. Let me know what you don't like. Let me know what you think so I can improve my videos moving forwards. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the Stormgate beta, and with any luck, I'll see you guys next time.